Hello, this is Victor Perez. Today I have something special for you. I just received a package, well, actually two packages. I just want to unbox this with you. It's my first time doing an unboxing, but I really want to do this because we are going to compare things. So let me show you what I received today. Yes, my new Wacom Intuos Pro. This is the small. I already have the medium from the new one, which is really, really cool. So we are going to compare all these versions, the small and the medium, with the previous models. But why to stop in the small and the medium when you can have also the large? This is something that I really love. I use all three, and I'm going to go through the uses and why for me this is so important. Okay, so let's start with the small one. I saw it at the presentation and it's really, really beautiful and very tiny. So, okay, let's open it. Here you are. I really love the new package by Wacom. Everything is paper, so it's 100% to recycle. So here you are. See, all the tiny details. I really love, the care that they have for every detail. Okay, so let's open it. Here you are. It's like an envelope of fabric. It's very organic. I really love. So here you are. The new Wacom Intuos Pro Small. I really even love the back, even if you never get to see it when you are working. But yeah, so you have the dial and the buttons in here. This is the size of my hand. So yeah, this is the small one. Of course, in here you have the usual, so the quick start, guarantee, documentation. I'm not going to get through the paperwork because I don't need it, but in here we have something that is really interesting. We're going to get to that. So you have the cable, the USB to USB-C, even if for me now I'm quite just on the USB-C for Mac, but for PC you still use this thing. Regardless, it's the same. The Wacom doesn't need all that power for the USB. So here you are, the pen. So yeah, and it's very well packaged as well. Look at this. This is the new Pro Pen with the 3 buttons in here. You don't have the so-called the rubber in there anymore. Yeah, I'm going to put this in here as well. And this is the new stand, I think. Yeah. So, and it advises that inside you have the nibs. So, okay, I'm going to get this. I don't want to break it. Yeah. Here you are. The new stand, and in case you didn't know, you can turn this. And inside those two things, you have the nibs to replace the tips of your pen. Okay, this sign is just going to fit in there. Okay, yeah, something like that. I'm going to put this in here and the pen in there. And I think that's all. So that's everything you need. You have in here the QR just for the drivers and the address. I mean, I have already the drivers in my computer, so I don't need this. And as you can see, everything is like cardboard. So you can recycle the box. Something that is important nowadays because, yeah, for you maybe it's just one box, but for the company, they are selling thousands of these. So yeah, it's a good thing that we are not going to put the rubbish, more rubbish into the ocean. So yeah, this is a nice packaging. So I'm going to leave, yeah, I don't need the cable for this, so I'm going to leave it aside. Let me put it here. And in here, what you have is the replacements and the customizations for the Pro Pen. So first of all, in here, you can see this. This is the way for balancing your pen. So you can put it in here and you have more body center towards the center of the pen, or you can just incline this and have it towards the other. I prefer to have it in here. That is like, I believe, is the classic customization. Then in here, let's have a look. Let me see if I can have this in here. Oh, yeah. So you have other setups. This is, wow, it's so compact. Yeah. Let me put it there. Yeah. Those are the options that you have for the buttons. There is one that is already mounted in the pencil, and then you have this that is the 3 buttons, and then you have this in case you don't use the buttons. For me, I mean, I cannot work with the pencil without the buttons, but in case you are using just the tip, like any regular pencil, yeah, you can use that. Then you have this, that is a tubular grip. You have this one that is more like the classic one. Let me see if you can see. You have like this prominence, this thing that is like stopping your finger just to go in there. But with this version, you can it's just a flat surface. So it's just like 2 different versions. My configuration of choice is actually the default one. I really like. I prefer the other tip, and I will show you in my previous, I mean the pen that I already had. But yeah, the thing is like you can put this rise with this tubular thing, or you can have like the flat. So let me show you the difference of the edge. See that this is very thin and this is thick. So right now you have like the thing. And why do you have the 2 options? Well, it's because you can customize the pen also without the grip. So you can have like the version that is coming by default with the moving. So I'm going to show you all of this in a moment, because I cannot wait to open the other one. So let me put this in here, and I'm going to put this on the side. Yeah, and I'm going to place that to make space, because this one is the large for a reason. So yeah, you're going to see the difference in this video. So yeah, I'm going to slice this, and let's open it. Again, it's the same packaging, it's just bigger. But let's have a look. Yeah, wow. I'm going to put this on the side. Yeah, same, the envelope. Look, I really love the touch. It's just like, it's very soft. And it's very elegant as well. So it's an important piece of hardware, and it's presented in the right way. So in my opinion, it's like spot on. I really love it. Yeah, so this is the large version. You can use this cloth just to store this, but I will not recommend to use this for traveling, just to put it on your, it's just very thin. So for me, maybe, I mean, it's better than nothing for sure, but I don't think it's enough protection. This is something, I mean, I really love this, just to put it in something so thin. I would recommend you to have like a proper sleeve or a case or something. So Let's put this aside for a second and let's just get all the materials in here. As you can see, it's the same. It's the same as the previous one. Is you have just more space, but same. The manuals that I'm going to put here on the side as well. The cable and the customization, I'm going to put it here. And then, of course, the base and the new Pro pen. I really love this thing, and there are differences that I'm going to show you with the previous version. And the tip is one of them, aside of of course the balancing and customization. So I'm going to use just that. The base is exactly the same thing. So let me put all of this aside. Nothing else in here. Yeah. So here you are, the three models. You have the medium, the small, and the large. So as you can see, the difference is quite evident, but the thing is like, what is the best size for your case? Well, it depends. You know, the smaller the surface, the smaller should be the area that you are going to represent on the screen, so smaller screens. The small one will be good for a laptop, for instance. The medium is good for a single monitor, you know, something like 27 inches or 30 inches. And the big one is really appropriate if you are using two monitors, for instance, if you are using two 27s, or if you are like, I mean, you like you like a space like me, and you have two 31 inches monitors. So the thing is like, what is the difference between the new models that I'm going to put in here and the old models? So, as I said, I use all three of them. I really love the products from Wacom. It's maybe the piece of hardware that I feel most identify as an artist. So I have also the previous versions. This is the small. This is the medium. And this is the large. Okay, so first things is like, I need more space. I'm going to put them aside for the time being. And we're going to talk one by one. Let's start with the big one, the large model. So the large model, the new large model, is actually, as you can see, smaller than the previous large model. But something that I noticed during the presentation is like, look at the marks of the surface area, the active area of the tablet. If you compare those markings with the new markings, actually, the footprint of the new version is actually smaller, but the surface is way bigger. Look, it's like I'm going to align this line. So from here, it's like this bigger. And the same for the vertical. So the vertical is going to be slightly more or less the same, slightly smaller. So this is more panoramic. So for monitors like mine, that is slightly more panoramic because it's the DCI 4K, this is just perfect. The other one, don't get me wrong, this is beautiful and perfect, but the new one is like, it's going to occupy less space in your desktop. And it's just going to allow you an extra room for precision. The buttons. And you can, as you can see, this one is actually a button that is, you know, you can feel the movement. In the previous version, this one was like, you know, you never had the, you know, the feedback of what is moving or not. It's just like a flat surface that you are just moving your finger. That is something that I didn't like. I didn't use it much. The scroll version of this, I didn't feel comfortable. Even if you have like, you have to press to have like the 4 different setups, but it was too complicated, honestly. The buttons, yeah, the buttons were nice, but I am conscious that they are in an unfortunate position for me. Why? Because I used to work with my keyboard on the side and my Wacom tablet on the right. So I work like this because it makes sense to me. I don't like to have it on top because it's just like I have my hands crossing. So that's why I work this way. So if I work this way, it is a bit uncomfortable just to use these buttons because the profile of the keyboard is actually higher. So yeah, I'm not a big fan. Of course, in the previous version, just for the left-handed, you can just put it like that and just config on the app, so you have the buttons on this side. But you have to rotate. It's too much trouble. Maybe sometimes you just want to use one hand for the buttons or the other hand. So it is really unnatural that you are going to do this. So this hand in this configuration is just using the pen and that's it. So if you have like the keyboards and everything with this hand, using this, it just makes no sense. So yeah, this is one of the things of the position of the buttons and the surface. So let's have a look. Let's put this aside and let's have a look at the medium one. The medium is exactly the same story. Look, it's like this much smaller, and the surface is way bigger. It's even bigger than in proportion than the large one. So the amount of surface that you have extra in relation with the previous model in the medium is actually way more. And something that I really like is the position of the buttons in here on top. Something that you have, of course, in the large, as you saw. But look, it's just like you have the feedback because it's click, 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 click. So you can feel it with your fingers. Then you have like the buttons are all in one place. So you can even get used to 2 fingers, 3 fingers, and you can have everything in there. So you have 5 buttons, one in the center. So it's really easy and intuitive just to understand which button you are pressing. In here, in the previous version, it is a bit tricky to understand if you are here, there, there, there. So yeah, you have like the line in here and the dot in there, but yeah, it's just unnecessarily complicated. So this method is really, really cool. So you can have program this depending, of course, in the use that if you are an illustrator, maybe you can have like the size of the brush. But even if you are working with any other software, you can have like opacity and size or rotation, or you can customize even for every button. I mean, the usual Wacom customization thing that I really love. And in here, this is now way smaller. Something to keep in mind, which is what I was puzzled when they presented the product. This is a small one, okay? But the previous small version, this is the previous version, the small, is actually more or less the same size of the medium. Of course, the size of the surface is, is way, way smaller. But the small was actually quite big, even though before I never thought that it was that big because it's actually very cute, very small. But now, if you put it next to the new small, yeah, it's actually really small. Look. So the surface, again, is like way bigger. The footprint of the device is way smaller. So it's actually really cool because it's not just on the how big is on the top profile, but also from the side. Look, and this is the same for all of them. So even the profile is like thicker in here and it's just getting thinner towards your side. So you have like a more organic, correlation with the surface of your desktop and the surface of the tablet. Something that is ergonomics, and when you are using this like a lot of hours a day, these little things matter. The main difference between the small one and the previous models in terms of the buttons is like you have only one set of buttons and one dial, which is, I think, more than enough because I use this on the go. So I take it with my laptop. I like it because it's very, very light and very small, so I can fit it anywhere. Before I used to travel with this. So now with this, and in terms of weight, it's actually a lot. This is like way, way lighter. So yeah, the improvement in terms of surface is just outstanding. So yeah, it was a very necessary upgrade. And I think Wacom was listening because many people was complaining about the dials, the previous dials, with the tactile thing and the button in the center. And now everything is, everything makes sense for people that is using it in a daily basis. So those are the new tablets, okay? The new Intuos Pro. I love the Cintiq and I love the moving and I love the products from Wacom because, they are good, they last forever, they are designed for artists and you can feel it. But the one that I love the most, if I can say, is the Wacom Intuos. It's because this is my natural way of working. Of course, I use the others because I like sometimes for certain tasks, having the screen is really, really good. But most of the times, I'm going to spend, my days using this. The medium, or when I am at my studio with the two monitors, this is like my choice. This is the one that I really use the most, and it's just, I couldn't work without this. If you think, I feel so identified with this brand that my own brand, so my signature, was designed with one of these, exactly with this one. I made my signature logo with this one. So yeah, it's time to let go of this beauty. Of course, I'm not going to let it go. It's just going to stay with me. I still have my previous version and all the pens. I have all the pens from Wacom. It's something that I always love. So let's go for the maybe the most important update of the thing. And look that, the updates that I already presented were like kind of important. So the size matters in here. So I'm sorry, guys. So yeah, in this thing, it's really important just to have more surface area because this is going to allow you to have more precision on the screen. So the pencil, let me put this aside because the new pen, I'm going to put it into context just by showing you the previous versions. So this is the original Wacom, the previous Wacom stylus, and this was like another pen that was sold separately, and this is a Pro pen, and you have like the three buttons in here. This is like my moving pen that I put the rubber tube in there. So I'm going to leave this aside for a second because there is something that I'm going to show you that is the only difference between the Pro pen from the Intuos and Cintiq and the Pro pen from the moving. So let's talk about this pen, the evolution of this pen. This was like the standard pen, and it has something that honestly I never liked. I never used, and I consider it was just like a completely useless. This thing, the so-called rubber. But this thing and this pen that is really cool and the precision and all of that, my pens, my previous, these versions of the pens, I don't have it in here with me, but because I have been using this for a long time. But what I used to do is like I was blocking this because the structure of this, the internal structure of the electronics just made a critical, fatal flaw for this pen, which is the sensibility. I don't know if you can feel it, but you can, if you put your finger in here, you're going to feel that this is moving. And this is extremely annoying when you are doing this. And actually, there is a level of pressure that is not actually reacting inside the pen, but it's just moving this because, it's just moving inside. Let me just show you. This is very simple. Now I can dismantle this. Let me put this aside. Oh, don't remember anymore. Yeah, here you are. And I'm going to remove also this. Here, and you see the internal structure. So let me see. I don't want to break it anyway, but can you see the internal, that the kind of the motherboard of the pen is very little. But we are talking about precision here. So if we are artists and we require precision, this little thing of the internal moving that I can feel, I don't know if you can feel it in camera, but is extremely annoying. Even just the click, maybe you can, is really annoying. I always hated that because it's just stealing the precision of the stylus. So if you want to see the internal, you can just remove that. I'm not going to do it because I even with that fatal flaw is part of history. So I'm not going to break this pen. I really love it. So the thing is like they made an update without the rubber, and this is another Pro pen that you could buy. You can still, I think. You have the 3 buttons in here. The thing is like the buttons is a halfway between the previous version and the new version. So you have the 3 buttons, but you have like the slight clicking here, and then you have like another extra button in there. And it's like, of course, now I'm used to, but it's very strange. It is because the position, I work with this. There are other people that work with this. There are 2 schools of thought on how you should handle your Wacom, but there is people with the thumb, but I prefer my index. So when I do this click is painful. Painful. Of course, if you do it once, it's not a problem. But if you are doing this a lot, it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. So I just have I was using 2 buttons in here because I don't reach that well. So it's just left, right click, middle click, and this is like the right one. So and you can change the colors of the rings in there. That is very cute in case you have multiple pens for multiple people. I don't know. It's just cute. It's just a nice detail. I really like this, but the position of the buttons were not great. So instead, what they did now finally is to have the 3 buttons in a equally spaced position. So you can have a more natural reach of the buttons, and then you don't have the constraints of the one kind of button in here and another big one. So it's more natural the way you embrace the pen. Okay, so and of course the balance, everything that I said. You can change the grips. You can have it here. Look at the difference in the tip. The tip is a different color, but it's the same. It's the same material. What is the main difference? And this is maybe you didn't know, but what is the main difference between the moving and the Intuos or Cintiq pen? Is in here, in the moving, you don't have the balance. You have this. You have the tips, the nibs of the of this, so you can replace. I love it. I honestly love it. So the thing is what do I prefer? The counterbalance So the weight or the, the nibs. I love both. So I don't know what to say. I just really love both. So my compromise is like, I like to have, when I am on the go, I like to have the nibs in here. So I can just go in there, replace, and it's going to be like a very easy operation. But when I am in the studio, I don't need to have the nibs in here. So I can have the nibs in here because I have this on my desktop. So it is really, really good. And the feeling of the way, this is something that you have to try. I cannot describe that. It's just like, it's a very personal setting. It's like, how do you like the pen to react into the balance? This is like a sword. So it's like, where are you going to place the balance, the center, the body center of this? So if you just place that, it's just going to make less effort to the arc of the stroke. So I don't know, there is something that is really organic, and that is something that I always love about Wacom. It's like, for all the creative materials they produce, the Intuos or the Cintiq or the Moving, or everything has been so care into feeling. It's just to feel it organic. So for me, this pen is an extension of my hands into the computer world. So it is normal that I am really attached to this. The nibs, as you can see, you have like a black one or this white one. I don't feel much difference, honestly, in them. But it's important, the visibility. So with this one, for instance, as you can see now, I mean, this has been slightly used. I changed it something like 2-3 weeks ago. What you are going to notice is that the length, even if I put it new, is just going to be more or less the same length, but the length of the nib is going to be shorter in the previous version and longer in there. This makes a huge difference, especially if you are working with screens, because if you have this pen that is very bulky on the tip, and that is going to cover the screen, yeah, it's not ideal. So this is way thinner, and the tip is slightly longer. So it's tiny bit, but that is what is going to make the difference between you seeing what is below or not. So in case you are working with the Intuos Pro, the models, the tablets without displays, yeah, it makes no much difference. But when you are working with the displays, this one is a huge difference in terms of the tip. Of course, the rest is a difference for everybody. But the nib being slightly longer, yeah. I'm not even going to enter into the levels of precision that is way more than the previous one. Of course, you are going to feel it when you are working, but the thing is, like, the pen in itself is like, it's really beautiful. And now, finally, with the new Intuos Pro, with this pen, you can use the same pen for the Cintiq and for the Intuos. So you have like the whole ecosystem of tablets, and you can use one pen for all the screens or all the tablets. In my case, I have the Cintiq 27 and the Cintiq 17. I have the 17 as a secondary screen below my main screen. That is something that I use even with my fingers, but sometimes I prefer to use that. And I can just make drawings on the fly or whatever on a device that allows me to see the trace. For the rest, why an artist like me, that I'm not an illustrator, I would love to, but I'm not an illustrator, why the tablet is so important? Well, the tablet is important because once you get used to that, I know the menus of every software that I'm using, especially Nuke, that is the one that I prefer. I know the position just with muscular memory. So I know that this is file, this is view. So I don't need to look into even to the screen just to go to the menus, to go to my toolbar, to go to the properties. So I know where are the clicks just with the position of my hand. So that is just going to make the feeling, the flow more organic. And that is the real deal, is to work in an organic way. So it's like you become one with the software when you are not thinking about, where is my cursor? Because I don't care where is my cursor. My cursor is always where is my hand. So I don't need to search for the cursor like you do with the mouse. I don't remember the last time I was using the mouse, but yeah, I remember that it's a relative way. In here, this is an absolute way of pointing to the screen. So I never use this as a mouse, so it's not like doing this just to go far. No, this is like the menus, the toolbar, the script, the viewer, the properties. I have in here even my pixel analyzer in Nuke. So it's just really organic. The fact that it's smaller allows me just to work with my keyboard closer, so I don't have like extra space. It's reducing the footprint of my desktop, and it's just becoming like a more organic way of working. That at the end of the day, that is all about. All of this is just in order for us to forget about technology. So now it's time to let go of the previous pencils and start the new era of the new stylus from Wacom, the Pro Pen 3. So that's all for today. Enjoy!